Better be ready for it. I'm ready to rock and roll this week.
Well, can I just start with one thing? Last night I got a text from you saying, adamant that it was a zero sandbag show. Horrible Raw. I'm like, great. Now I have to watch it tonight and spend time doing that. You really set me up there.
I got to watch it right away because it was on in Scotland, which I love. Next week again, it's in London, so like I like it. I like the timelines on it.
Yeah.
This particular Raw, which we'll get into, I have kind of like two rants to go over. Like one, this particular Raw felt identical to the previous Raw in every way. It was very odd, as
They
if they,
swapped us a couple of people, but yeah,
yeah,
I
they
know
just
what you
did the
mean.
same exact thing
Yeah.
over again, and it was so not exciting. And so like I didn't get it at all. And the second thing, we'll talk about the specifics, but like I thought maybe like the Cena heel turn or whatever, I would get into some momentum, but like this is in my opinion, the least I've been excited for WrestleMania ever. So I think it's the worst build to WrestleMania ever. And while I've been very happy in the new Triple H era, I think I'm happier around regular PLEs because I'm okay with a half to three quarters of them being shitty. But this whole WrestleMania looks terrible from top to bottom, the way that they're building it up. And I'm so sick of them forcing these other people that I don't mind, but they're forcing them into these main event positions. And like they're ruining Punk and Roman by including Rollins. They're ruining Drew McIntyre by making him have a feud with Damian Priest. They're ruining Braun Breaker by continuing a feud with Finn Balor. They're ruining Rhea Ripley by including Io Sky. They're ruining Gunther by including Jey Uso. It's the worst. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but like I overall think Triple H is better for the company, obviously, and the direction is better. But like I wish Vince was booking this Mania because at least Vince booked the big stars against each other. And there's like no big star matches. There's Cena and Cody, sure, and we'll talk about how they did the exact same segment this week that they did last week. I just don't understand what it is I'm supposed to be excited about. The build is awful for everything, and none of the matches, like right now, Randy Orton and Kevin Owens is like the number 2 main event in my opinion, and like I'm pissed about it. It's stupid and it's annoying. And at least for an old school, like late 90s, early 2000s diehard fan and loving WrestleMania, like I don't even know that I'm going to watch in real time this year at all because the card looks shitty and the build is awful. And the stars aren't fighting each other. And when they are, they're including people that don't need to be there, like Seth Rollins.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder if the reason they're doing the shows like this, the reason why it was like a copy and paste show, is because they're on this European tour and they're trying to ensure that the audiences in the arena are getting like a very comparable show to the other live events in Europe that are happening. I don't think that's the right way to do things. I'm just wondering if that's how they're approaching this. Because you're right, the show was with the exception of changing out a few characters here and there, was pretty much a replication of last week's show, which is wild to me. And even me, I'm the less critical one of us. And the only possible reason I can think of is that, hey, we're going to give the Scotland fans a similar experience to the Belgium fans. And I don't know why they would do that, but that seems to be what
They
they're
might
doing.
as well just do the Royal Rumble every month because they'd be afraid that every PLE fans would be disappointed afterwards.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, what else? What other reason could there be? Because it wasn't like any of the storylines are better off. It's almost like they maybe like a bunch of writers took a week off, or everybody's enjoying the tour. Maybe they're all enjoying the tour outside of the wrestling aspect and sightseeing and whatnot. That they're like, oh shit, yeah, we have to write Raw this week. Well, let's just do this again and that again. That worked. Okay, we got good views on that. Let's do this again. Same thing. Maybe
And so
that's what happened.
I wonder though, like, am I like, are we the only ones that notice that? Or am I the only one that's like disappointed in in every match that's happening at WrestleMania?
You're
Because
not.
Triple H seems to think that people are stars and are over that aren't, and he's force feeding them at a ridiculous rate in every single feud.
I don't think you're necessarily the only one, but there's people are probably more excited than you are for certain matches. You're probably more on like the I guess the more critical side of things. Then there's probably middle ground. Then there's people that probably love everything they do. But overall, they they haven't been building things correctly. There's this weird thing because we complain about build a lot, and they are building, but they're not doing anything different. It's like they're just building a wall with no windows, and it's the same pattern up and down that entire wall, and nothing interesting in it. Like that whole Cody and Cena segment, I was having deja vu last night. I fell asleep early, woke up in the middle of the night to watch so I could do this. And I'm like, wait, did I click the wrong Netflix one? Did I watch this one already? It was like it. And then I'm like, no, this is in Scotland. I'm like, wait, they're doing the exact same thing, a no physical contact, back and forth promo between Cody and Cena. They're doing the same thing again. What?
Even to open the show, yeah.
It was the exact same thing. Nothing different. That was so weird to me. That was one of the weirdest things I've seen in wrestling. I do not understand why they did that. It didn't further the feud any more than last week's promo. It did nothing. It's like if you were looking at this on paper and you were booking this whole story, this whole Cena and Rhodes feud, and you were like, okay, Cena's going to turn at Elimination Chamber. Cody and Cena are taking a week off. The next week, Cody's going to come out. He's going to cut a seething promo on Cena. The following week, Cena's going to show his face. Cody and Cena are going to be in the same building. The following week, Cena's going to show his face. Cena and Cody are going to be in the same building. It's like, wait, we repeated ourselves. Yeah, we should do something else. But no, they're doing the same thing back to back. It's so weird. I've never seen that before.
Yeah. There were sprinkles of hope in there. Like, I liked some of the stuff that John was saying, but I didn't expect the entire thing to carry on. Like, I thought he was starting the same way and then things would progress.
Yeah.
But no one is safe. Did you notice he referred to the kid that I mentioned last week?
Yeah.
I was wondering, apparently WWE posted photos of it. And he's like, you know nothing about
free merch
me.
For life.
Yeah. You know nothing. He probably will be at WrestleMania. You know nothing about me. I know more about you than you, he said. So he like picked up where he was last week, and I'm not really complaining because The Rock is kind of annoying me, but like again, like I don't understand the story. So like if Cena is so mad at the fans, then why did he have to team up with The Rock, and why did he have to attack Cody? What do those things have to do with each other? And why is Cody not interested in any revenge? And then he goes on to just rip apart the spinner belt.
Yeah.
And said he's going to ruin wrestling for every fan. Which I thought was awesome. I thought he was going to be like, I'm bringing the spinner belt back. But instead, he said he's going to retire with the title. So there's no more retirement tour if he wins. Like, the whole thing is just so muddied and confusing. And like this, I think like this thing where like Triple H had all these different stories that different places he could take it, multiple threads. He's carrying it on too long. And the lack of clarity is getting super weird. So if he wins, then he's going to retire, which means he's not going to win because that would be terrible for business.
Well, I don't see it like that. I hope it's not like that. I saw it as he was going to retire still later in the year and be the champion for the rest of the year. That's what I hope happens. Well,
I thought not what I hope happens. Immediately.
No, that would be absolutely ridiculous. Hopefully
That's how I interpreted what they put on the TV show. The TV show needs to be super clear. I'm a part-time fan now. I've always loved wrestling. I'm watching it. I'm trying to understand the story. It's not that I don't understand how promos work. I've been watching John Cena for 20 years. I am super unclear what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's... Should we be interpreting things differently? Probably not. Like, you should be giving sort of the same story to each fan. They should understand things the same. Obviously, there's going to be things that are up for interpretation. Maybe this shouldn't be one of them, though.
That I thought the glimmer of hope was that he was going to be like, I'm going to bring back the spinner belt and you're all going to hate it. And I was just like, I actually love that. To be honest, like going like just overall for Raw, because it always starts out raucously, like maybe they just become too reliant on the crowds because you can see they're just trying to hold so much back and spread out all the good stuff. these European crowds are giving all of this new life. Like the way that they're chanting Cena sucks in his entrance music like he's Kurt Angle, or the way that they sing Cody's name now is great. But going back to the U.S. audiences, they're not going to be able to maintain this, I don't think, at least, this crap that they've been putting on without these raucous fans. The fans are making the entire show because they're so wound up. It's like even my wife is like walking through the room and she's like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, it's so crazy at these events, but it's just like, I'm just like, nothing's going on, actually.
Wait till they
She's
come
like,
back to.
she's like, again this week? And I'm like, yes, again this week. She's like, I don't know why you watch that if you hate it so much. And I was like, I don't hate it. They just can't put on a good show. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that complicated. It's WrestleMania. You book big matches. It's Macho Man versus Ric Flair, not Ric Flair versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Macho Man versus Boss Man. Like, you put on the main events.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, but yes, this entire thing felt like a repeat. This segment specifically was the worst. And it started out, it had some stuff in there for me. I didn't get it at all. Cena leaving, refusing to fight, turning back. Like, they obviously had everything choreographed really well, but this took a step backwards for me in terms of getting excited for the feud. And this was like the only feud I was excited about right now.
Yeah, they got to pick up the pace here. I don't know what they're going to do next week. Because are they both there next week? I think I saw a graphic for that at some point.
I'm not sure.
It's
I
the
skipped
London
so much
show.
of this show. I skipped so much of this show. I don't even know. They'd be due to take a week off.
Well, I don't think they're going to get it because next week is the London show, and that's probably their biggest show of the tour, I'd imagine.
When did they come back? This has been going on for a while. You know, when you talked about wondering if you're watching the right Raw, I was very excited to see SmackDown with Punk and Rollins both being there. And I accidentally started watching the week before. But the show, actually, the week before that SmackDown was actually really good. There was like a 6-man tag to start the show with LA Knight and Braun Strowman against the Bloodline. I can't remember who they were tagging with. And I started to realize as I was going through it, I was like, oh man, like some of this stuff like B-Fab and Charlotte Flair, I was just like, I've heard other people talking about this. Yeah. And then when Gunther came out and was challenging the local Spain guy, I was like, what am I watching? And I like paused and I was like, no, I watched the wrong one. And I had to go back later in the weekend and watch the entire episode of, well, not the entire episode, I fast forwarded, but I did watch SmackDown, and the shows were similar enough in nature, even though it was good on SmackDown, which maybe I'm going to start watching instead if it's better. I couldn't tell the difference if it was last week or this week, and I actually watched it.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, SmackDown did seem like it was more interesting. I don't know if everything's more fresh because we haven't been watching it as much.
Maybe
that's a little bit of a factor. But I didn't get to I got to see the brawl and stuff between Seth, Punk, and Reigns. I found it interesting that it was on SmackDown, but that's almost like a step and repeat, like Seth CM Punk brawl, but just adding in Reigns now. It's like the same kind of thing again.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, SmackDown was excited. We're jumping subjects, but like, I guess you're right. Like, I enjoyed seeing Fatu, and I enjoyed seeing Strowman, and LA Knight's the champion again, and now I want to see Fatu and LA Knight at WrestleMania, although I probably won't get it. Probably be LA Knight versus Carmelo Hayes, and who knows who they'll have. Anyway, like that's But also, I did enjoy SmackDown.
I think SmackDown this week they are promoting a CM Punk and Reigns contract signing.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the CM Punk segment.
What? Okay, yeah, hilarious. I gotta say something about Raw in general. Something I noticed, or something that came to me last night after I was watching the show, I'm like thinking there's something missing from the production of Raw, and I was able to nail down what it was. For me, it's the intro theme song. It sucks. It's so low key and low energy. It's a Travis Scott song. It's that thing they play when they're going throughout the crowd on the drone, when they're showing the arena shots outside. It's a terrible song. I went back today and I looked at all the opening themes from Raw over the years, and they're all high energy songs.
They're great.
Like, they're fun. And I was like, why did they go to this? This happened at the Netflix premiere episode is when they introduced this theme song. And I can't wait till it goes away and they bring something cool back, because I think it sets a low bar for the show. You're supposed to build hype and build excitement. And this is just a low energy, no excitement song that they're playing before the show. And I think that it impacts not only the fans and the people watching at home, but probably the performers too. Nobody's getting hyped up from that song. Come on.
You know what? And I don't disagree with you, but I've had that thought for like 20 years because every time there's a new theme song, I get pissed. Then I find myself later like thinking that it was good.
I don't think you'll think that with this one. Go back and
I skip like the first 10 minutes of Raw every week now because nothing happens. They just advertise what's happening though, like it's a UFC event.
Yeah, that's fair.
It doesn't start with just like some explosion, like someone storming to the ring because they're pissed and like the good old days.
But I encourage everybody to go back, listen to all the different theme songs, and then listen to this one. You'll see what I'm talking about. And maybe you won't. Maybe you'll disagree. That's cool too.
Nothing touches the Raw theme. I don't even know what the words were, but like the 99 one.
Thorn in Your Eye?
Is that what it was?
It was like a Jim Johnston song. I think so.
So good.
I just remember the Stone Cold Steve Austin one where like the barrels are shooting fire and he's walking through them.
Oh, that was real old school, yeah.
Yeah, those ones.
But even the ones they had in the early 2000s when like Evolution and stuff, like that was a Union Underground one, like across the nation. Like, we're going off tonight. Like that one.
That was a high energy song. That was a good song to start the show, man. Like
because every show was like an explosion. It was like must see TV. Now it's just like it's not.
Now it's like, hey, check out this arena. It's cool. And like it's like a little drone floating around. It's
Did you watch any of, I guess, like, okay, and I have to say this again, I'm sorry, because this is another thing that is just out of control. I say every week, but this whole back and forth between the show thing and like Triple H there's no clarity anymore. I've lost complete clarity on everything. So A-Town Down Under is now on Raw, and so is Jimmy, but Jimmy's on SmackDown, and now they're making a match between Jimmy and Gunther next week. Like, it's all over the place.
Yeah,
and like. It's just so hard to follow. And now it's just kind of becoming about like, I guess the matches, but they don't have good matches on TV that much. So like, as someone that's followed wrestling their entire life and explained how it works and how storylines work, I do not understand what's going on in these shows. It's all over the place. Anyone can be on any show, but they're saying that they're on this particular show. And we'll talk about this later. But like now, all of a sudden, Rhea Ripley has contracted to have a world title rematch. Okay, and then why didn't Roman Reigns ever get his? There's so many things like that. It's just like there's no consistent story, and it's very bothersome. Because those are the things I pick up on. I'm looking to be immersed in this. So it's a world of fakeness, like a TV show or a movie. But I mean, you have to stick to your own rules. And I don't know what happened, but as soon as 2025 started, it's been awful. Worse than when Vince was running it, awful, in my opinion. And I'm probably on an island with that opinion because everyone's in love with it now. But it sucks.
You mean like just Raw in particular, or Raw and SmackDown, the overall product?
Everything. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everything.
I agree with you.
The Rock comes in every 6 weeks. Then they never talk about him again. Is like, is that because there's a real life drama? Then talk about that. Like, it's just, I don't understand like what this is supposed to be.
Yeah, the whole roster split consistency thing is starting to get to me as well. At first, I was thinking, okay, yeah, they're allowing the top guys to bounce around between shows. I can see the business logic there. They're not doing a great job explaining it, whatever. But then you start getting guys like Jimmy coming over, and then, A-Town doing a tag match here. Then it's everybody. Everybody's coming over, and it doesn't really matter what show you're on anymore. It is bizarre that they're doing this.
Yeah, that's my preference, is that. But they keep insisting that there's this, like, window. They're talking about some window or something. Like, anyone's going to follow that. Like, that's what I mean kind of when I'm like, this is becoming AEW-ish in the sense of like, are they thinking that, and maybe people do, maybe they have an audience that does this. I guess I used to with Raw and SmackDown 2 hours each, but like, are people watching these full shows every week and following these storylines? Like, what happened to just turning on wrestling and being able to watch it for a little bit and see like what was going on? Like when I was growing up, like my dad loved Stone Cold and The Rock. And he might have watched 15 to 20 minutes a week with me. He didn't watch the entire show, and he wasn't lost in any of the stories. There was no nonsense. Champions got their rematches. Like, that's just how it worked. Vince was in charge. Mr. McMahon, like this is what's going on. These are the characters. This is how wrestling works. And now it's just like, I don't really know. And why do they need to have Adam Pearce and the other guy? I like them both. What's the guy on SmackDown? Nick Aldis?
Yeah, Nick Aldis,
I
yeah.
like them both, but like I don't really understand why they would need to if all of their talent is just transferring it. How are they competing at all? Like just give us a reality that we can believe in and stick to the rules of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree there. I wonder if they'll do it. I wonder if they'll do anything this year after Mania about the roster split.
I don't know.
If
Whatever it is, it'll be stupid though.
Hopefully not. Hopefully it clears things up and we can
I
move on
know.
with our lives and not talk about it anymore. But yeah, I don't think that'll happen.
Okay.
Anywho,
Back to Raw. Usos versus A-Town. Did you watch?
I didn't really watch the match, but I was following along the storyline, and then I got to the end part of the match where, yeah, we
Did
know.
Jay trip on purpose? Not in the story, but like as an actor?
I
Because I certainly hope he
Yes,
did.
yes,
Because he's ridiculous.
I think so. I think it's weird that they acknowledged that slip up last week. They don't normally do this. Vince would have never allowed that to happen, and probably Jay wouldn't be getting a push right now if he did that slip up last week. I don't know. I think it's definitely part of the storyline. I think he slipped on purpose, but it's because he slipped on accident last week that they're trying to make that a part of this and make that a thing. I don't know if that's. I have two schools of thought here. One is that if they don't acknowledge it, the slip up, then are they insulting our intelligence? And number two is if they do acknowledge the slip up, is that a good thing for Jay? It's just making him look weak, and they're trying to build him up. And the weaker he looks, the weaker Gunther looks, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't know about the slip up. Like I know it was on purpose. That has to be on purpose. But I just don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
I can't stand that A-Town Down Under is also jobbers. Like for whatever reason, I saw something in them. And then this match, just like we said, was so predictable. I fast forwarded, of course, so predictable. And also like, please, overall, everyone has to stop doing the super kick. It's just out of control. Every match, there's like 8 super kicks. Like It's not sweet chin music because they're not coming from the corner. But I mean, it's just ridiculous. And then the exact same thing. Should Jay not just expect Gunther to attack him every single week? This story makes no sense. Each just keep having matches and the other person keeps surprise attacking them. And why is Gunther keep attacking him if he doesn't care about him? Like the whole thing I don't get it.
And think about this too. Gunther's attacking him when he has backup this time as well. So it's Jimmy and Jay, and Gunther's attacking him. It's not like it's just Jay and Jay's, winded after a long match. He's attacking 2 people now. So you're making your heel attack 2 baby faces at the same time? That actually makes the heel look like a superhero.
Yeah, or an idiot.
Or an idiot. Regardless, though, I do think there is something that they can do to kind of bring this back around. So I think including Jimmy in this isn't a bad thing. I think that it can lead to an angle where Gunther is destroying Jimmy and, putting the hurt on him, and Jay is somehow restrained or distracted and can't help. Like, I think that could help build this story back up again. But I also think these guys need a week off. They need some time away because it's been every week the exact same thing.
I guess the feud does, but to be perfectly honest, like I could watch Gunther interact with a jobber and have a match with a jobber every week and be happy. You know how Jimmy is as bad as Jay. Like, I'm just totally over it. They suck. They're not good in the ring. I understand that they're over and everyone likes the Yeet, but like their matches are terrible. I personally just don't enjoy them at all. So another huge miss. They went to a backstage segment, I believe. I'm not sure if I'm getting this in order, but there's a Judgment Day backstage segment, which was the beginning of something that I noticed all night, which was weird, but like audio was awful backstage. I could not hear anything they were saying. It's like the mics weren't close enough. Did you notice that?
I noticed that in the Gunther segment. So I think it was that one where I could hear Jimmy, but I couldn't hear Gunther.
Mm. So the same thing was happening. Like Dom was talking to Liv, and I could hear Liv, but I couldn't hear Dom.
Right.
And so like I don't even really know entirely what was going on besides just some like horrible, horrible acting. And I don't mean to be so like I want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I was like really enjoying it in 2024. I thought that everything was going like quite well. I like what they were doing with all the stories, like all of it, Punk, Roman, but everything just come to a crashing halt for me in 2025. And I have to be honest about it.
Yeah, that's fair. Overall, this Gunther Jay storyline, it's going nowhere fast. Just like everything else. Weird. It's so weird that they did the exact same thing, pretty much, that they've been doing every week.
Following the same thing they did with Cena and Cody. Hence why we were so stranged out about this episode.
Yeah. Do you want to talk any more about this, or should we move on to one of the next ones?
Now, let's move on. What do you got for me?
Well, I don't know if I have all this in order. Was this when CM Punk came in?
No, there's still some before that. There was the Rhea Bianca Io Sky bit, which, to be honest, did you watch that?
I did not watch that. Actually, no,
Yeah.
I did. I did actually watch a little bit of that.
Yeah, I watched that. To be honest, and like I do dislike Io Sky. And I think it's because I'm craving a story so much that this one is actually beginning to be my favorite.
Interesting. Okay.
And it's just like it's becoming so interesting because it's like, well, what is the match? And like I think it's ultimately maybe going to end up being Bianca versus Rhea, but the way that they're getting there is so clever. And like, who says that Rhea needed to hold the title like the entire time? And so, but I will admit, at the beginning, I was just like, oh my God, another talking segment with these three.
Yeah.
And like hopefully someone gets physical. But Pierce was getting super pissed, which was interesting. I said that I liked him as a fan. Io Sky looks just ridiculous. She looks like a fan. She's dressed absurd, and her acting is awful. But then they face planted her again. I believe it was Bianca. And then things started to get physical. And then I guess Bianca's finisher is called the KOD. And Io couldn't like stay in it. So she was trying to reverse it or whatever happened. She fell to the ground. She was like 3 seconds too late. It looked just terrible. And like, even though I'm liking it a bit, this is another, just like the segment reeked of obvious cooperation if you watch their in-ring work. And I think it's because Io Sky is just green and doesn't know what she's doing.
There was a point where Bianca was waiting for something for about 3 seconds, I believe. And I saw her like looking over her shoulder, waiting for Io Sky to do something.
Yeah. And then they had the backstage segment, like immediately following. I couldn't hear anything again that they were saying, or Pierce was saying, but I could hear Bianca. And then Bianca, but like they got to cut out some of this backstage stuff. These people can't act at all. I mean, it's just, not that I can act. I'm not saying I can, but it's like, you're like, I don't know how to referee. And it's just like, that's not what you would say. I don't know. It was unbelievable. But there's something about it that's intriguing me because everything else is so shitty. That it's like the only real story.
Yeah, I think that would be cool if it was actually just Bianca and Rhea in the main event for the women's title. That would be kind of a cool swerve way to get there that they haven't really done that I can remember anyways.
But this is just agreed. But I think this is just another example of them forcing somebody else into a story because they're just trying to create all of these stars. It's like, it's like corporate greed. They're being too greedy. They're trying to take away the big matches that we want at WrestleMania by getting these other people over and thinking they can just have like all of these stars. They're creating the next generation. But like, I don't know. It's not working. It's not working for me, brother.
They want to create many stars so they don't have to rely on a small few. Because once you have a small few, that small few has a say in what they do, as we saw back in the Attitude Era with certain people getting, the ability to call their shots. And if they didn't want to do things, they didn't have to do things. And I think that's what they want to get away from. But there's a trade-off there where you don't have as many great stars, not to use superstars here, but yeah, you don't have that, but you have, some really good upper mid carders and stuff that are not as quite entertaining to watch, but you have a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the Intercontinental title is the best match at WrestleMania. Like, I've been over this before, but like, why can't we see like a Braun and Seth feud? But they just have to insist that Seth is a part of like a triple threat match for whatever reason. Like there are other things out there. Like they are building like the Rheas, the Gunthers, the Brauns, the LA Knights. They're there, and like the Jacob Fatus, right? Like
Yeah.
they're there, but like those guys aren't big enough to just be paired with people that aren't big. They should be fighting the big stars.
Yeah. Yeah. They should be.
They just tease all of these matches that we just never get. Anyway, so I was intrigued by the Rhea Bianca. I hope that Io is kind of gets out of it soon. I'm assuming that's the main event next week because it's Io versus Rhea. It'll be the first time I probably watch the last time they were the main event, I didn't watch it, but I guess I'm interested this time because I kind of want to see what happens. But
Yeah.
I can't imagine it's going to be very pretty with Io Sky in the ring.
So if Rhea wins and is the champ, then I guess we're getting a one-on-one match. But do you think there's a possibility that they're going to somehow get Io in that match and it's going to be a triple threat?
I assume it'll be a triple threat. Yeah. Io might even retain. Who knows what direction they're going to go with it.
She might retain due to interference from Bianca Belair. I mean, there's only a few different pathways they could take here. The most interesting pathway would be a one-on-one between Rhea and Bianca, and Io is not involved in that main event. And I think that you could actually make that benefit Io in a way, give her more time, and make that a reason for her to be, maybe a reason for her to be angry, for her to start doing something in the women's division, and then later on down the road getting that WrestleMania match when she's ready.
I mean, I don't know. When she stands next to the two of them, she's half their size.
But I don't think that matters in the wrestling world. It's all about the character and how you build them. Look at Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, well, Rey has a character and can work.
Yeah.
I don't understand her character and she can't work. So she's like a fan. Like I can't tell the difference between her and a fan.
Yeah.
Anyway,
fair.
let's move on. The next thing I did watch was Punk.
Okay. All right, cool. So Punk had the same job that Seth had last week on Raw to announce that Seth and Roman are not here tonight and then to cut a promo on that.
Exact same thing.
So I like that that these guys get time off. I do like that. Where
are they though? They're going back to America?
No, they're just in Europe, kind of touring around, I guess. They're going to be on SmackDown, and SmackDown's in Europe.
Just seems weird that they're not there.
Well, it is kind of weird, I guess, if they're on tour. But at the same time, you got to look at like the people behind the business here too. Like they probably want a bit of time off. Maybe they're touring the cities. They don't get to go on that many vacations, and they get to spend time with their family in Europe. That's cool. They don't have to worry about being on Raw this week. And come on, you and I would agree on this, that a week without Seth is a good week. I'm glad that he actually had a week off. I'm happy for him. And I also didn't feel like seeing Seth come out and cut this exact promo. It's kind of funny that they had to have Punk come and do it instead.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, but yeah, again, like, I don't know, promo, I didn't really listen to it too much. And I guess I wasn't super interested in it because I just knew nothing was going to happen. We've just seen this exact promo before.
Yeah. I mean, you know how big of a Punk fan I am, but like this promo was sucked. The feud was no further advanced. There was a sprinkle of hope again, a glimmer of hope. Like when Cena came out, there was something that he said that I was really intrigued by. I was like, oh, wow, are they going this direction? Like when he announced that a contract signing, why do you need to have a contract signing for this triple threat match? That doesn't even really feel like it's a feud. I don't understand the feud at all.
Yeah, and what's the contract for? Because the contract signing's usually for like a championship match, right? You never have contract signings for regular
or a really
matches.
crazy blood feud. Like I think they try to do one for the unsanctioned with Sandy and Kevin. But
Yeah.
he said for a minute he was just like, and this one I was intrigued. Punk was just like, the triple threat match is not what he wants to do at WrestleMania. and what he wants to do at WrestleMania like still isn't accomplished. He's like, I'm going to look at the fine print to see if this gets him closer to what he wants, as
Right.
if like he might turn down the triple threat match because he doesn't care about fighting Seth and Roman, which like I really actually liked. I was just like, if this had just been like Cena had just said that he was gonna bring back the spinner belt when he wins, and Punk was just like, yeah, I'll go to SmackDown, but I'm not signing any contract. I don't care what Triple H says. I'm not fighting these two at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the night off. I'm just all over both of that. But again, that's not really what happened. Same thing that Rollins said. I don't understand this feud at all. Somehow they're ruining CM Punk and Roman Reigns, my two favorite wrestlers. They're ruining it. I'm not excited for their match at WrestleMania at all. I don't understand what's going on, and this was the low point for me. I was just like, I couldn't believe that this is also what was happening with this segment.
Fair enough. Are you going to tune in to SmackDown this week?
I'm still committed to watching everything that Roman and Punk do.
Yeah, I guess Seth is not on SmackDown. It's just going to be Roman and CM Punk.
He'll be there.
Sorry, you will be
the
there.
contract
Okay.
signing, yeah.
Gotcha.
But technically, Roman's on SmackDown, and Seth and Punk are on Raw for whatever that's worth.
It means nothing anymore. Okay, I have nothing else to say on this one. I think, so you talked about your low point. The next one that I watched is sort of my high point on the episode, is Grande Americano.
I fast-forwarded.
I don't know why.
Is that Chad Gable?
Chad Gable, he was sick today. He's like, I can't compete, I'm sick. He had a doctor's note, and Ray and Dragon Lee are like, are you kidding me? He has a doctor's note? He's got the sniffle, he's got like a Kleenex and stuff. I thought that was funny. Look, I know people want Chad Gable to be a serious competitor and stuff. At least he's in something, and it was cracking me up. So the doctor's note, hilarious.
I don't hate it.
He can't compete tonight. He has a doctor's note. And he said, there's no way I'm Grande Americano. I'm sick, but why don't you guys wrestle him tonight? I think he's here, so he can debut. And Grande Americano comes out to the most cliche Mexican theme music ever. And he's announced as being from the Gulf of America, which is just ridiculous. And you know what, if they went and did a Mexican tour and he was announced as being from the Gulf of America, the boos he would get would be hilarious. I think that crowd would be so heated towards him. It would be super funny. It's obviously Chad Gable, exact same physique and everything. Almost moveset. Instead of yelling thank you, he yells gracias. I don't know why. This whole thing is starting to really crack me up, this Grande Americano. I think that I don't know where this is going, but from a comedy standpoint, this is the funniest thing they have going on in the show right now. And Chad Gable denying his involvement in everything to do with Grande Americano, which is a great name, by the way, is genius.
I don't hate it. I didn't watch it. The episode was so bad, I was heavily fast-forwarding. I just couldn't sit through a luchador match at that point, especially since I knew Penta was in the main event. So I just fast-forwarded. But I'll take you at your word. And I'll if he's on next week, I'll check it out. So I did like it the week before, and like how he wasn't in the mask in the backstage interview and pretending that it wasn't him, and obviously it's him, and that's I don't hate it.
Yeah,
we'll see where it goes.
I have no idea where they're going with this. A part of me was thinking, there's been some chatter online about Ray Phoenix, Penta's brother, debuting somewhere, and how this might tie into all of that. I don't see how that ties into it, but I don't know. I'm interested to see where it goes. And I must say, like, Dragon Lee lost the match. Grande Americano pulled off Dragon Lee's mask, forcing him to hide his face, and then he tapped out Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee had no option. He just had to tap out, get out of the match, which was, great. I think it was a solid match, probably the best match of the night, in my opinion. When you mentioned a couple of weeks ago you liked Dragon Lee, I didn't really watch any of his matches or stop to check him out at all, but I'm quite liking him.
I'm pissed I didn't watch it now. Damn it! It's just you built it up a lot, and I kind of forgot that I liked Dragon Lee because a lot of this is new to me. And like I like Gable too. I bet you it was a sick match. I might have to go back and watch it. It sounds like it was fun.
Yeah, there was definitely a dangerous spot. So he did that pencil dive thing you were talking about outside. Chad Gable
He was hung up in the ropes on
hung
the
up in the
outside.
ropes facing the ring apron outside. And he did that pencil dive down
Oh,
and
shit.
landed on his leg. And it looked like he really did some damage to his knee. I don't think he'll ever do that move again. Like, I thought they were going to call the match at that point, to be honest.
I'm gonna have to see this.
Yeah. Hopefully I haven't built it up too much, but that was honestly
It's me. I'll be disappointed no matter what I watch. I'm the most negative wrestling fan on the planet.
This was the top segment for me in the whole show. Honestly, this thing, it made me laugh.
That says a lot.
Interested in the match. The match was good. And now, oh my gosh, is this the most interesting WrestleMania storyline for me? It can't be. I'm still probably most interested in Cody Cena. I have a lot of interest in. I do have interest in the the men's triple threat match. Obviously, I wish it was just CM Punk and Roman, but I will still watch that match. But I am interested in Chad Gable right now, too.
Okay, two things. I think it just kind of speaks to the quality of the show when you had like Braun Breaker, Gunther, CM Punk, Cody, and Cena, and our two favorite segments were Rhea Bianca and Dragon Lee Chad Gable. The second thing I just want to clarify is because sometimes this can be confusing. So like, it's not that like I don't think it'll still be like good to watch. It's just that it could be so much better. Like if you're gonna say to me like, if you every year in April you go out to the high end steakhouse, the nicest steakhouse in town, and you love it, and then for some reason this year the person you go with is like, no, like let's go to this high-end burger place instead. And you're just like, well, I really like the high-end burger place, but like I never go to the steak place. And I thought that's what we did in April. Like that's what we're doing. So it's not that I like if the triple threat match is at Backlash or Elimination Chamber, I'd be like, cool, like, this is great. It just doesn't feel like a WrestleMania match. So I have these high expectations for WrestleMania, and that's why it's so disappointing. It's not that I think the match will be terrible or something like that. It's just it's not what I'm expecting. Like I'm just expecting Hogan Rock, like big matches. And yeah, anyway, I think that clarifies.
Do you think so the Hogan Rock match, the one-on-one matches seem to have a lot of crowd participation. The crowd feels more a part of it, I think. When you throw in a third person, I think it changes things a little bit with the crowd dynamic. I don't know if I'm totally right there, but I mean, if it was CM Punk and Roman, I mean, that's just such a
huge
colossal event.
Yeah.
But you put Seth in there, it's just doesn't have the same impact, even though it's at WrestleMania. Imagine if they swerved us here and took Seth out of this triple threat. Imagine if they did that.
Be awesome. But like to your example, like imagine they did Hogan, Rock, and Jericho. And it's just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, Jericho's cool and all, but like what's he doing in the Hogan Rock match? Like this doesn't make any sense.
Well, so I'm going to get probably a lot of backlash on this because people love this match. But WrestleMania 20, Benoit, Triple H, Shawn Michaels.
I love that match.
Imagine if it was Benoit, Shawn Michaels, or even, and I don't want
Benoit, Triple H would have made way more sense.
Okay, Benoit, Triple H, or Triple H, Shawn Michaels, but like,
no, Triple H. Okay, sorry, carry on. I wouldn't want to see Triple H, Shawn Michaels at
well,
Mania.
we already saw that
too often. Yeah,
we already saw that. But if we didn't see that at the SummerSlam beforehand
and
or whatever,
18 times after,
and then 18 times after, I think Armageddon and whatever, it would have been interesting. But I think it would have been a bigger match. It just didn't seem like a big match. Didn't seem like there was a lot of crowd anticipation for it. I just feel like it would have been.
I know what you mean. Like those matches are more like gimmick matches to set up bigger matches. Like big matches really, that's why I always hate like when they just have like 4-team tag title matches at WrestleMania. It means nothing. Like they might as well not even have it. Like
And
Have
every
a
year they
real
do that.
feud. Yeah, just have a
Yeah.
real feud with real teams. Like, why can't you build up like a good match? It's I don't know. But
Though
I completely hear what you're saying, and I think the triple threat match itself is what's ruining. It's not necessarily Seth. It's just Seth doesn't belong there.
they're always trying to incorporate too many people into WrestleMania. They're trying to get all the wrestlers on there. And I don't know what the pay scales are like anymore. I don't know if you get paid more if you do a WrestleMania or not, or if you're on your salary and you're selling merch and that's how you get paid. They used to get the pay-per-view bonus back in the day if they're on the card. So obviously you're going to try and squeeze more people on there. But I think, Vince probably had a bit more restraint with who he included on that. And I think over time, it became more and more and more people. Those early WrestleManias, and I don't know, even like probably up until WrestleMania 20 or so, besides the amazing TLC matches and ladder matches, the tag matches were just, two, and that was it. And there was a story there going into WrestleMania, and there was a good match. You can't have a good tag team match with 4 tag teams.
You can't.
Unless it's some ladder match where they're doing high spot after high spot, killing themselves. You just can't.
I just watched the Hart Foundation against the Honky Tonk Man and Greg Hammer Valentine at WrestleMania 5. It was great. Jimmy Hart threw in the megaphone. They cheated to win. I loved it. Did you watch the main event? I assume you did. It was Penta and Braun. I mean, your boy Penta and Braun is hard to not watch.
And you keep saying that. To be honest, I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch the main event?
I watched it on my phone while I was doing dishes. At this point, I must have been loading the dishwasher or something. Come on, I was watching this thing at like 11:30 or 12 at night, just trying to squeeze it in so I could actually talk to you about it today. And I had this match playing in the background before we jumped on this call.
Fair enough. I did watch it. Like,
So,
I can give you some comments if you want.
well, a couple of things I'll comment on first, because you probably have more of an insight into this match. Is like, at what point is Penta no longer he spent 42 minutes in the Royal Rumble guy? Are they just going to talk about that every single match he has?
Especially since, he accidentally eliminated himself 2 minutes into it.
Because that's kind of awkward. I remember last week I was commenting on perhaps Penta's not used to the ring and doing like certain moves in the ring. And there was a few things that were just like, didn't look real and were kind of sloppy. And I also predicted this turning into a 4-way IC title match at WrestleMania. I just want to call that out with Finn, Dominic, Braun, and Penta. I called that.
I hope not.
I think that's where they're going with this. Penta's keep staying a baby face, which is good because it's still early. He didn't take the chair from Dominic to actually hit Braun. He hit Dominic instead. I don't know, man. It's yeah, that's what I kind of saw from the match. I wasn't super excited about it, and I don't think anybody looks good coming out of this.
Well, I might agree with you. A couple things I noticed. There was very early "Let's Go Penta" chants, which I'm finding interesting, like how over he's getting, especially to a European audience, as he kind of just debuted. You would think that a lot of these fans wouldn't know who he is because he's coming from AEW and the independents in that area. And I was very concerned about this match early on because there was an early Hurricanrana that went really poorly, where he didn't even get him around the neck, kind of like the shoulders, and then Braun fell really weird into the bottom ropes. I was like, oh boy, their styles are clashing big time. But then it kind of switched around. Like Penta hit this backstabber on Braun that looked really vicious and really good. And then there was another wild move. Like there's some wild moves they do, and I had never seen this before, and I'm really liking Braun. He did like a military press, but like he dropped him in front of, so he lifted him up and then drops him in front of him. Like usually they would drop behind and walk forward. He drops in front, but then before Penta can land, Braun falls to the ground and gets his knees up. So he drops him and then he lands onto his knees.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. I'd never seen that move ever in my life. And then there was also, so after that, then there's also a Mexican Destroyer, which is what I think is Penta's finishing move, maybe?
Not his finishing, just a signature move, yeah.
It's like a jumping pile driver.
Yeah.
And I think basically like after that first move, Braun was really proving his versatility that he can work with these kind of guys because like he was taking these moves great. And now I don't think the Breakensteiner is Braun's finishing move, but like too many of these moves that they have look like it could be a finishing move. And so like Penta kicking out of the Breakensteiner, I was like, oh, like what? And of course, like the ending was a DQ, which like I can understand because they're trying to protect both of them. But immediately I was just like, I was into the main event. I liked it. But then again, like more Finn Balor. And it's just like they just won't stop. No Logan Paul this week. Where's AJ Styles? And they're just, again, just ended the same way that I kind of felt like through it. It's just like they're just forcing more of these people. I was like, I don't want to see this. Like Finn has been around for like 10 years. Like I'm over him. I'm over it. Like put him in a tag with Dom or whatever and have them have a good feud with another whatever faction, whatever you want to do with it. But like, I'm not interested in seeing Finn involved in the Intercontinental title scene at WrestleMania right now. And they've got all kinds of different options. But like, you're right. It seems like this is what they're doing. And it's just so frustrating. And it's just like, Raw just came like full circle. They had built up this momentum at the end. And I thought it was a very good main event. And then all of a sudden, just like, no. And then the crowd was just like dead quiet after the DQ finish. And everyone's kind of just like, what? Like, this is the ending of the show?
Yeah.
And they're trying to make it out like there's some super group. Well, it's just like Dom is super over as a chicken shit heel. Carlito's his hilarious sidekick. I'm just like, what does Finn have to do with anything? Like, I'm so confused by it. Terrible ending to a terrible show and a terrible build to Mania. I'm giving it a 0 sandbag. After, if this wasn't such a carbon copy of last week, maybe I'd give it a little more. But like, frankly, it was a chore to watch.
Well, I was doing chores when watching this, and at times not watching this, so the chores were taking priority, which means maybe it was a bit of a chore to watch. I can't give it 0 sandbags because I love Chad Gable right now. I love those whole Chad Gable segments. I think they're awesome. So I'll give it I usually give a 2.5, 3 maybe. I'm going to give this one a 1.75. It was super lazy for some reason. Why did they copy and paste Raw, the same Raw in a different building? It's like the live event circuit back in the day when they used to do a ton of live events.
Yeah.
They do the same show every night. It's like they did that here, but on live TV. That is wild to me. Next week is looking a little different. It looks like Logan Paul and AJ.
I didn't see the preview.
I think there are actually some good matches announced for next week. Let's just double check this because...
Read them to me.
All right.
Don't tell me AJ and Logan are next week. That's got to be a Mania.
Let's see.
Mania is going to be a super fast forward heavy. I'm probably going to do the same thing and just watch night one. Like I'll watch night one when night two starts because there'll be so much fast forwarding that by the time I fast forward through part one and then get through fast forwarding through part two, it'll be Cody Cena, which obviously I want to watch live.
Yeah.
Because I assume it'll be crazy with, like we talked about, with Rock and then, God willing, Stone Cold.
Yeah, I don't know where you get the I can't use the internet apparently. I don't see anything here like where they announced the matches for next week, just the results.
Well, I know that there's Rhea and Io Sky are fighting next week. That might be the only match that actually got announced.
I swear they had Penta and AJ announced. Maybe I was dreaming that.
Penta versus AJ?
Sorry, not Penta and AJ. Logan and AJ. Gosh, that would have been
just like an in-ring segment. If that, no, I would know. I feel like I would know about that. But maybe it is. I mean, I kind of hope it is, but that feels like a match that should be saved for Mania.
Sorry, it's a call out. Logan will call out his new adversary, AJ Styles.
And I think it says that Cena and Cody are going to go face to face again. It's just like, okay, we've already seen this.
Come on.
I think that's what it says.
It has to be different.
We shouldn't speculate. We'll see. I'm going to watch SmackDown again because of the main event, guys. If you get a chance, check out. So it's Samoan Werewolf against Monster of Monsters. So I believe, and the winner gets a title shot. Oh no, No, that's what happened. So Strowman gets a title shot against LA Knight because he had a DQ win over Samoan Werewolf. I think that they're setting up for LA Knight, and they're going to put and Jacob, and they're going to put the title on Jake, the U.S. title on Jacob at Mania, which would be great.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting match. I feel a little left out because I don't watch SmackDown. It seems like there's actually good stuff happening there.
I only started watching it because Punk and Roman were all of a sudden on. Punk and Roman aren't on the show. It's tough to watch.
Yeah, totally. All right, let's call it. Thank you,
Let's do
everyone.
it. Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you next week.